Today, I have a very special guest for my mini series called Inspiration From. She is a chef and she will talk about salts. Um, Last week, I had a solo show where I talked about the different salt vessels in the history and how salt was used in various moments of history. Today, our chef Rosa Mariotti will explain to us what are the various uses of salts and what are they. So let me first introduce her. Hi Rosa, how are you?
Hi, Valentina. Ciao.
Ciao. It's nice to see you after so many good dishes that I've seen of you. Now I have you on my show.
Yay. Thank you for having me.
So let me tell you what Rosa is all about. She was born and raised in Italy, in the most beautiful places of Italy, where it's full of history and art. You are from Umbria, are you?
Correct. From
Good.
Perugia.
From Perugia, beautiful. She moved to the US many, many moons ago, and she lived for a long while in Oregon, where she graduated in the hospitality management, culinary and baking and pastry. After a career in child nutrition, she decided to move to a beautiful Maui and followed her passion, where she used her pastry and pastry chef degree. And with that, I think she's making. Just a moment. Okay. Oops, pardon, my telephone went off. Where I was saying in Maui, she uses her passion and uses her pastry chef degree, where she makes now people very, very happy with her specialty. Her blog is Growing Up Italian, and she is all over the platform, the social platform. So her succulent dish are just to die for. So tell me, Rosa, I read somewhere that you, long time ago, you went on vacation to Maui, Hawaii in general, right? And you had that distinct feeling that you belonged there. And then, strangely enough, many years later, you ended up living there. Was that
Yeah,
something that just happened, or you followed your destiny, or you made it happen?
I think that things that happen in life are a combination of opportunities and preparation. And so that just happened. I had dark hair when I went from Italy to Hawaii, and I was just a week long vacation. I loved it. And then the opportunity came, and here I am. So,
And you
yes,
liked
many
it
years
there, do you?
later. Yeah, many years later, almost 30 years later.
Oh
Yeah.
my. So you're constantly on the beach?
No, that's the thing. People don't get it. When you live here, you work. It's not a perennial Ferragosto. You
Yeah.
have to work. And so after work, sometimes I live 400 feet from the beach and I don't go for
And
like
you
two
don't
weeks.
see it. Yes, that's what I
Yeah.
thought it happens in that beautiful place. Um, so you are an experienced chef, and you make your food so appetizing. To me, your photos are hypnotic. They belong in magazine, culinary magazine. They are hypnotic, at least to me, because when I see some of your picture, I just stare at them and I lose all my words. They're just beautiful. But I know it isn't easy to make all the food, the beautiful food that you make. So how many hours do you spend in the kitchen?
Let's rephrase that. Say, how many hours do you not spend in the kitchen? Because I go to work and so I'm in the kitchen and then I come home, I'm in the kitchen, but it doesn't feel like it's a chore at all. I love it. I'm
Yes.
excited.
Yes.
Um, And then when I was in college, one of my electives was photography. So I'm using
Mhm.
up my photography for my blog. I don't have a professional camera. I take my pictures with my little crappy cell phone. But when you love something, I think everything falls into place really easily.
They are so beautiful. The photos you make are very attractive. They're
And
really.
I think we are very close in character and as far as taste in having colorful and very dynamic, colorful combinations. So
Mhm.
that's why they are appealing to you because I see the pictures you post, they are appealing to me. So I know we have a connection there.
Connection of colors, yes. So the pictures that I see of the food you make, are those food um, just for showing, or you just make them for someone? Does someone actually eat them?
Look at me. Do I look like I skip a meal? Yes, I do eat them. I do. My neighbors love it. My coworkers love it. So I share, but mostly, I eat and I repurpose. I upcycle. So if
Yeah,
I have leftovers, I upcycle it into something else. So there is no waste. But yeah,
but
I
you
do eat
you,
it.
you also cook for in the college, right? You teach in
I teach
college.
here at the University of Hawaii Maui College.
Hmm.
Classes are suspended now, of course, but we postpone all my classes to October. So hopefully by then it will be okay.
Nice. So your students get to eat all of this good stuff. Lucky people.
Every class I teach, I do the standard Italian meal, like appetizer,
Right.
antipasto.
Uh-huh.
Then we do a primo,
Hmm.
secondo, contorno, so the main dish. And what in Italy is the secondo, so it's a protein dish, and a
Right.
salad and a dessert.
Nice.
So we do the whole thing, and they get to eat it all.
How lucky. Lucky people. So I believe that you were born in Italy. You got your inspiration for cooking from your family or the people you were around in Italy, or just something you did it on your own.
I think was necessity because when I came here on a student visa, I had to pick a major, and hospitality was the closest major to what I had in mind, and it came with a culinary attached to it. So it just was chosen for me, and I discovered that I love it. So I stuck.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, what's not to love when you produce such beautiful food? There are just, sometimes I feel like this is not a plate to eat. This is just to admire as a piece of art. Truly, you do make a piece of art.
The thing about us with this dichotomy and a different background is that we can incorporate in whatever we do our other life. So we do a code switching of where everything, it's standard here in the United States, and we put a spin to it, which is given by our background. So that makes it a
Right.
little more interesting.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. I agree. So, so basically, you answered the question I wanted to ask. It's you eat all the food yourself. Yeah, all this food and your family. You're so lucky.
All this to carbs.
You're a healthy girl.
No kidding. Let's say that.
You're really healthy and
Actually, actually, though, the Mediterranean diet has
uh,
been proven over and
and
over and
over.
over
Yeah.
over any other diets like keto, paleo,
Yes.
and stuff to be
Yes.
the only
Yes.
diet that is worth pursuing
Yes.
because it has everything in balance.
Absolutely. I agree. Cannot agree more. I do the same. That's what I learned to eat since
Mhm.
I was born, and that's what I continue to eat. Absolutely. The Mediterranean diet. So I see these beautiful pictures on the
Mhm.
screen that you gave me. Now tell me, is this, you said it's a salty meringue?
Yes, what I do,
And that is the
it's
picture at the
meringue
top. Pardon.
on the
Is
bottom.
it, do you see the pictures?
Yes,
Okay.
it's the one with pipette, the pasteur
Okay. Yes.
pipette
Yeah.
coming out.
Uh-huh.
So it's the I'll describe you the dish. So it's a
Right.
piece of salmon, and the recipe is on my blog. It's a piece of salmon that's partially seared, and then I pipe a meringue. So the
Oh,
meringue is made with egg whites, but instead of adding sugar, a salt, kosher
so
salt. Kosher salt draws the moisture and cooks and makes a nice shield,
wow.
and the salmon absorbs just the right amount of salt that
Mm,
it's needed by osmosis. So it's not too salty at all, but it's definitely a showstopper. I teach that in class a lot. It's beautiful.
yes.
And it's a little bite of heaven with the moist salmon, just cooked to perfection,
Oh,
just salted to perfection. And I serve it over a slice of orange. So the fatty part of the salmon absorbs the little orange flavor.
mm,
And the pipette pasteur
yeah.
has
Underneath.
orangecello, or if I use limoncello, I use a lemon slice underneath. So
Uh,
it's like, again, the Italian code switching
oh,
with a Pacific Northwest cuisine.
oh, and that's too much. That's to die for. Oh, wow. And
It
you
is
teach
so
that
good.
in class.
Yes, I taught that in class and they loved it. Yes.
Oh my.
You
Oh,
just have to learn not to eat the meringue because the first thing I want to taste it, it's just, you know.
it's incredible. It's so. Is this your creation, or you just elaborated from something
No, I
else?
mean, I usually browse everywhere and I get
Mhm.
ideas and then
Mhm.
elaborate them. And sometimes Pinterest, it's my favorite place to get
Yeah.
ideas because they
Yes.
are all condensed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so, yes,
And then you put it together your own way. Oh,
right. And I think that there is no, you can be original, but there is always something that it's cathartic or something that is just catalyzing your attention
mm,
and putting it together so that you come up with something else, something
absolutely.
different. But so you
That's
always,
where your creativity comes in,
right.
right?
It's genius at play, they say. And so I play a lot with my food, and not that I'm a genius, but I play the play part. I do. And so that's how they come out.
Oh, you are a genius. You are truly a genius. And what is the other dish underneath? Underneath
It's a
your picture?
crostata.
Mm-hmm.
It's a crostata. So basically, I had some salted caramel
Uh-huh.
left over. And so I made a crostata. It's a pasta frolla, which is the Italian pastry dough, kind
Right.
of. And then I put the caramel on the bottom. And then I'm too lazy to saute or cook the apples. So I sliced the apples and arranged it right in there. And I baked it. As simple as that is.
Oh my! Is there any butter between the layers of the slices of apple?
No, what I did half of the way through, I just brushed some butter on top of the apples with some sugar, so they would caramelize a little, and that was it. Mhm.
Beautiful. Mm. And so this is a dessert, right?
Yes, but I sent both pictures because there are two different applications of salt
Yeah.
in cooking. So the salted caramel, and you can top the crostata with the nice vanilla ice cream and a sprinkle of vanilla salt. And the other one is another use the meringue of salt in two
Vanilla
different ways.
salt. You said
Yeah,
vanilla salt?
vanilla salt, yes.
Wow. Wow. That's something I want to know about in a minute. Wow, this is great. So you can put salt on any dessert or just specific dessert.
You have to, my philosophy and what I teach my student is to have a balance and to have a salty component on pretty much anything. Like you do a vinaigrette for your salad, you put some sugar.
Mhm.
But when you do a dessert, I do not consider any recipe that does not have salt. I always put salt in any dessert. Yes, it's
Nice
very important to balance the
to
flavor and
balance.
enhance the flavor. Yes.
Very nice. That's a good thing to know. Thank you. So as you and as I'm thinking, you are knowledgeable of all the food and everything that goes with it, like wines and spices and anything that makes right the dinner perfect, right? So you know all the spices and
I don't know everything, but I'm sure trying to.
I'm sure you do. So now I'm getting to the salt, that which are
Mhm.
the spice part of the food. I know you know so many different types of salts. I've seen it before, and I want you to tell us about all the extravagant salts that you use, why you use them, what are they for, and what is the health benefits if there is any.
So to go back to your last question, I have had a chance to work with Mark Bitterman, which is who is the salt sommelier in the United States. He has several stores, several salt stores. He wrote books, James Beard Award winner, and he always said that it's very important to use salt. You can use all the salt you want as long as you do the salting. So that means no cup of noodle, no TV trays dinners and stuff like that. You have to control the salt you put in your dishes, so cook from scratch. Otherwise, there is a lot of salt, usually a lot of additives. That's rule number one. And if you do that, you will see that you won't use nearly as much salt because
Mm,
there are other things that you use, spices or other flavor enhancers. They are not salt.
of course.
And so that's very important. And so the thing that people ask me all the time is what salt do I need to use, or where do I need to use my salt? Like
Mhm,
salted butter. I always discourage salted
mhm.
butter because for several other reasons that we don't go into, but to salt butter, mostly they use table salt or some less expensive salt, unless it's European salted butter, but that's another story. So I wanted to show you some salts that I
Yes.
have, not all of them, but some of them. And again, Mark Bitterman says that the damages that you do by drastically eliminating salt to your diets are far worse than having a little bit of salt. But
Mm,
you have to use the good salt, and there is a difference, and I'm going to talk about it.
right.
So I'm not a nutritionist, but again, I can repeat what I learned and what I found out during my career.
We
So
love
this
to
is my go-to
learn with
salt.
you. Mhm.
This is my go-to salt.
Kosher?
It's a kosher, and I call it kosher red
Mm,
because there's different colors
yeah.
in the box. Kosher red, why? Because it's salt, NaCl. If you read the labels, it just says salt, and that's what you want. But you say, oh, I've got out of kosher. Yes, there is a lot of kosher out there, and kosher basically means a salt with no iodine. But sometimes it can have anti-caking agents and stuff like that. So just to prove it,
Hmm.
sometimes this salt is not available for some reason, at least in here in Maui. So I have to find alternatives. And so one time I purchased this. It's also kosher, but guess what? This one has additives like pershit and some other things, the
Hmm.
anti-kicking. So
Hmm.
not so much. Then there is another kosher. It calls for Mediterranean kosher salt, so salt from the Mediterranean.
Uh-huh.
And I'm always a little wary of where I don't find the source. Oh, they pinpoint the source of something.
Hmm.
So Mediterranean salt, yeah, but from where? Mediterranean could be Sicily,
Could
could
be
be Czechia,
Syria.
could be France. Everybody's on the Mediterranean, right?
Yeah. Right.
So it's kind of, if I don't find my favorite, I'll go for the next one
Mhm.
available. At least this one doesn't have additives. But kosher salt is my go-to salt because again, it's just plain salt, and also the molecular structure is a little bigger than the table
Mhm.
salt, has no additives, and so a lot of recipe also for baking these days called for kosher. They say kosher salt.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you can see it here.
You can.
This
Yeah.
the grains of the kosher are a little coarser than
Mhm.
the classic table salt. So teaspoon for a teaspoon, imagine the the little grains of salt bigger, so there is a little less teaspoon for by volume. By weight is
Mhm.
the same, but by volume it's a little less because it
Mm.
takes more room. Does it make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So you use less to get the right flavor. Right. Okay.
A lot of recipe now are calibrated to, even on pastries, to use kosher.
Mm.
And it's sometimes I don't have kosher. I just ran out, but I had another salt that was fine.
Hmm.
And it to me was too salty
Hmm.
because the finer grind, if you use pretty much the same amount, or it's too salty. So
Hmm.
this is my go-to salt. I
Hmm.
love it, and I'm going to stick to it when I can find it.
Hmm. And I know you have one
I
that
can
is.
keep going. So, talking about Italian salts,
Mm.
because here in Hawaii, we have great salt, but in Italy, I grew up with great salt as well. So, one of my favorite is this one, Salsa delle Marlunghe. So,
Mm.
what they do, they combine a vignalta.
Mm.
Um, they combine Sicilian salt
Hmm.
with vignalta herbs.
Mm.
Um, So Vignalta is in the Veneto region. So
Right.
it's an area where they do a lot of wine as well. And to me, it's just north and south of Italy in one jar.
In one jar.
Sicilian
Yes.
salt and northern Italian herbs. This is great.
Yeah.
I made a roasted chicken the other night, and you can
Hmm.
sprinkle it over it. It's great for a steak, focaccia,
Hmm.
anything that you want some nice herbal flavor
Hmm.
and a nice coarse salt. I'll show you this one. See the little specks of herbs?
Bring it up. Yes. Oh, yes. So it kind of looks grayish. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's just like it's a grayish green. The herbs are ground up in there.
Right.
Now you could make your own with your garden
Right.
herbs.
Yeah.
Dry them out a little bit and pulverize them with salt, and keep it like that.
Yeah.
But this is just like so close to home for me.
Mhm.
It's a good salt. I like it, and it's already down for me, so I don't have to do anything else. No fussing. It's just
Yes.
perfect.
Yeah.
So that is an Italian salt combination.
Yes.
But I always, when I teach, I always say discourage, I would say, the student to go into purchasing something with a huge carbon footprint. So now the Himalayan salt is, on vogue a lot
Hmm.
since, the early 2009. When was it that Trader Joe's started bringing in the Himalayan salt, and now everybody's on into Himalayan salt. So I always encourage my students to do their homework because there is a lot of uh, knowledge about children exploitation, doing mine work for the salt in
Hmm.
Pakistan. So unless you know your source, I just say, do not go for mass produced Himalayan salt. There is alternatives.
Hmm.
And some are already here in the United States. I love the salt from Utah. Utah was underwater. They
Hmm.
call it Jurassic salt because back then Utah was submerged. So
Hmm.
there is salt that is mined in Utah, and it's pink and like Himalayan, and
Hmm.
it's very dry and salty, so it's great. And the
Hmm.
carbon footprint obviously is much inferior.
Right.
And so does Oregon. Oregon
Hmm.
has Jacobson salt, and since in Oregon rains so much, I guess they can't just have a salt flats right there. So
Hmm.
he does put
Right.
the water in vats and then
Hmm.
reduces it, and then in man-made pans, and then gets to be flaky and beautiful and prestigious. And
Hmm.
many chefs I know love Jacobson salt from Oregon. So there is valid alternatives in the United States from Hawaii to Utah to Oregon. So I
Hmm.
always say shop local. What's closer to you?
So these are
Um,
easily found in stores, or they're easily
yes,
found in any special
Utah
store.
salt. I used to find a Safeway in Oregon.
Hmm.
They are not eye level. Usually they are on the bottom where
Hmm.
people had to look for, and online. Absolutely online.
Online, yes, everything is. available
Mhm.
online. But one time I saw you using a black salt. What is that about?
That is one of the Hawaiian salts.
Uh-huh.
In Hawaii, we have a red salt, a black salt, and a pepper salt. So, red salt is coarse red salt infused with charcoal, and the red salt is a little bit darker than this because as the red sand into it. But I want to talk about the Hanapepe. Hanapepe is a bay in Kauai Island,
Uh-huh.
and only 17 Hawaiian families
Mhm.
can actually have a little pond, a flat in there. It
Mhm.
cannot be bought and it cannot be sold. It can only be given to you by one of those family or their members. They have it and they
Mhm.
give it away. So it's called the friendship salt, and it's a flaky
Friendship
salt.
salt, right?
It's
Friendship.
beautiful, yeah.
Okay.
And it's flaky and it's slightly pink.
Mm.
I don't know if you can see it.
It kind of looks whitish, but I
Yeah,
know it's
but
not white. I know that.
yeah, it's a
Yeah, yeah.
little pink, has a pink note
Right,
because of the pink, the red clay that's around it
right.
and the sand. So that is my favorite fleur de sel.
Mm,
But it can be substituted easily with a fleur de sel from Oregon or from France, famous. So that comes from salt flat, not rock salt. So the
right.
major difference, I guess, if people don't really know, is that some salt can be harvested because it's underground, and some salt is just made by flooding flats with seawater. And then during the summer, the seawater recesses, evaporates, and that's what is salt.
And that's what is called the fleur de salt. By the way, for
This is
those who don't
salt.
know French, a fleur de salt means flower of salt,
Yes.
right?
So
Okay.
it's just the skin in the top when it kind of blooms up,
Right.
makes the beautiful crystals. And some, if you look some, they are like pyramid shapes. They're beautiful. So this is Hawaiian fleur de sel, I would say.
Mm,
And Hawaiians have a great relationship with salt combined with sugar. I
mm,
would say most of the Hawaiian cuisine is a combination of sweet and salty,
mhm,
if not more sweet. So
mhm.
one of the salt that I learned to love here, it's homemade, or you can purchase it, and it's a compound salt, I would say. So it's called furikake.
Ooh.
It's green, and it's a combination of sesame seeds, nori, salt, nori weeds,
Uh-huh.
sea salt, and a little pinch of sugar. It is phenomenal.
Oh,
And I use it on top of my bagels or on top of focaccia or on
oh,
top of pretty much anything. And it's called furikake, and you can purchase it online or any Asian store. I don't know if you can see.
oh my, beautiful.
And it's fantastic. Over rice, steamed plain rice with this on top is just really, really good. It's really good.
Wow. Mm. I can
That
just
is
I can
the
just picture some of the plates with these varieties of salt. Now, how can anybody? I mean, aside from chef know everything, but someone who's not a chef and wants to use these salts, how do they know where to put it? Because they
um,
don't come with instruction on what kind of food you can use it.
when you go to a salt store like the Meadow, like
Mhm.
the ones that are in Oregon, New York, or Japan, they will give you instructions because
Oh,
there's so many salts in there. I remember seeing those pearls of salt,
mm,
and they told me that those pearls were done on the coast of Africa by, little pearls of salt rolling with the wind, and they will come just big pearls. And then
mm,
I'm like, what do you do with that? It's just such a pity to use that, but they
right.
will tell you what to do with each salt. So you asked me about black salt,
Yeah.
black
Yes.
diamond.
Oh my.
So this is fleur de sel from Cyprus, the island of Cyprus, which has
Yeah.
been infused with charcoal. so it's
Mm,
black.
mm. So
And
is that
I
good
use
also
it
to
a
clean the
lot.
teeth?
It just makes your fingers a little black when you
Uh-huh.
sprinkle it. But I use it a lot for splash of color. Like imagine something like a yellow of an egg yolk that has
Mhm.
been macerated in purple beets and a splash of black in there. So you have just beautiful colors,
Wow.
purple, yellow, and black, or
Mm.
over oh, what can I say? Oh, an avocado toast that has some
Yes.
beautiful green with some watermelon radishes and a sprinkle of
Mm.
black. So I like it for an a statement. When you need
Okay.
salt but you want to make a beautiful plate and have a like making a statement. That's what I use. So
It's like
it's
jewelry
really
for food.
yeah, it's kind of, and it tastes earthy, just really, really good. What else? From the same, I'm not affiliated, but I really like Mark Salt. I think he's a groundbreaker for whatever comes in the salt world.
And that's
And
grayish
this
as
is,
well. Is it?
so yes, this is Kalanamak.
Mm.
And let me see if I can pour some. I use it a lot when I cook for vegans. Can you see it?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes, it's very chunky
Oh,
and like a grayish brownish.
uh-huh.
So if you smell this, it smells like eggs because it starts as a Himalayan salt, but it's
Okay.
not mass produced.
Uh-huh.
It's been heated and mixed with some other minerals. So they make it have the smell, the sensory recall of eggs. So I
Mm-hmm.
use it a lot when I do vegan cooking.
Mm-hmm.
When I want to give the customer the sensory recall of eggs, but
Yeah.
no eggs, I use the salt, and it's terrific. It's
Fantastic.
also very good if over hard-boiled eggs because it
Yes.
enhances flavor.
Wow.
Vanilla salt. You asked me about vanilla salt.
Yes.
When yesterday rained in Maui, and I'm like, I'm gonna make me a hot cocoa, and because it was just like a winter day, yay! We don't get so many.
Mm-hmm.
So what I like on top of chocolate or cocoa is something salty just to balance the flavor. And not any salt. I use the vanilla infused salt. So I get the vanilla benefit
Mm-hmm.
with the salt flavor.
Mm.
And this
Fantastic.
one, it's also brown.
Mm. Yes. Wow.
And I use it on desserts or scallops or seafood crustaceans that I like with some little sweetness to it. I think it's really, really good on those, but mostly desserts.
Fantastic. Fantastic. It's just
Well,
I
fantastic.
will look for these salts everywhere. I'll make my own, with the spices and the fruits that I have in my
Yeah.
garden.
Mhm.
So I use a
Yes.
lot of the peels of the oranges, a peel of the lemons,
Mhm.
and I put them in the salts and many other spices. But I do want to find these particular salts that are just rare.
Yeah.
They're a rarity. Yeah.
Yes. You can also use the spent vanilla bean
Hmm. Hmm.
and grind it up with salt.
Yes.
Also would be really good.
Oh, nice.
Um, yes. So then we are going into another kind of category that's like nice to have but not mandatory because I have a blue salt from Iran.
Mm. Blue salt. Wow.
Yeah, and it's a Persian blue salt. And what it has is this beautiful sapphire color mineral, and it comes with a grinder, so you grind it. It's quite expensive, so you don't want to go to town with that. But it has like an aftertaste almost of lemon. It's very acidic, so I love it on seafood because it has an extra acidity and lemon kind of reminiscent
Mm-hmm.
flavor. So I like it.
Fantastic.
Um, yes, so it's Persian blue. And then I do a lot of baking and I love my salt on top of a pretzel or something like that. But
Yeah.
if you use any salt, when it bakes, it just kind of melts away with the moisture and there is no salt left. So I use pretzel salt.
Mhm.
Pretzel salt is coarser and it's dull. It's not shiny as the other salt.
Mm.
I don't know if you can
Mm.
see it.
And why is that? Why?
Because it's just salt that is being compacted, compressed
Mhm.
really hard. So if you put it in the oven, it's not going to melt right away. Eventually will over time, like the following day, if you keep your pretzel wrapped or something, gets
Mhm.
oozy and melts away, but it
Right.
won't melt in the oven like the other ones too.
Okay.
So if you have any purpose for which you want, like if I make a black focaccia with
Mhm.
charcoal and I want the salt to show, I'm not going to use any other salt but pretzel salt for that very reason. So it shows and it stays like it
Right.
does on a pretzel.
Right. It makes it stay.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you have any questions
Oh,
or?
this is just fantastic. I don't think a lot of people know about all these salts, and this is really an inspiration from those like us who cook. And so I'm sure many people will look for these specialties because this is just another way, another level of making something and make it look special, even if it could be even a simple dish, making it look special with these kind of salts. So I love it. I love to hear all of this, and I'm sure
Yes.
many people
And then
will.
I like for people to experiment. Like I
Yeah.
don't have one here, but I used a lot of Himalayan salt stones, and you want
Mhm.
to purchase them sustainably
Yeah.
through providers that know where they come from. So it's fun to cook on one of those, or
Yeah.
just simple things like serving a caprese on it. You
Yeah.
don't have to put salt on top. Both the mozzarella or the tomatoes absorb just enough salt to taste amazing, or just slice an apple on it.
Mhm.
Has a little bit of saltiness to it. Serve it with peanut butter. It's delicious. So
So when you
salt.
use the salt slab, do you warm it up or you just?
So usually I had when I had one, I broke it. When I had one because I dropped it, and they are not drop proof. So when I had one size I would put on the burner, and one side I would keep plain.
Mhm.
So the ones that was not in the burner was just nice and pristine, and that's where I would serve my raw food. And then the one I put on the burner, and then flip it over, I would just was warm, and that's where I put the other stuff. But
So
yeah,
that's not something you wash, right? You can't wash a salt slab.
no, definitely not a friend of the dishwasher. It will melt away.
Well, we better tell that because you never know.
Actually, I know people have done it.
Yeah.
It would be fun and everything.
So I know restaurants who use the salt slab they serve it at the table as a dish. So
Yes,
how is the hygiene on that? Because other people eat off of it.
that's a very good question. Actually, I forgot to get my salt pig. I keep my salt in what's called salt pig, and I think I sent you a picture. It's a Miller clay,
Yeah.
and inside it's unglazed, outside
Yeah.
is glazed. And I put my salt in there, and I reach for it. I don't care if my hands are dirty or not, because nothing grows on salt. So I am not particularly finicky about reaching up and salting something.
Mhm.
I wash my hands, of course, but um, that's what I use a lot of.
Mhm.
So the hygiene on salt, nothing grows on salt.
Mhm. So it's safe too because I know of a restaurant nearby where I live that has this kind of things, and I always wondered, is it safe to eat off of salt that everybody else is eating? Yeah.
I do think so, and you can actually wipe it off.
Hmm.
So you can wipe it off,
Okay.
but would be best to cook your own, to own something.
Yes.
Like I know Mark Bitterman sells beautiful cups bowls made out of salt. So
Mm.
you can warm them up, melt your chocolate in there,
Oh
and
my.
it will be naturally salted. It's just divine. It's so good.
Oh wow. You should have not told me that. Oh.
So yeah, the
Oh,
salted chocolate bowls are, oh my gosh, just you can
yes.
just keep going. Yeah, they're
Oh.
the divine. Very,
And
very
then how do you
delicious.
take the residues out of this chocolate from inside of the salt cup?
You can cold wash it really quick and wipe it off. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good.
It will take a long time. It will take a long time before it will melt away. Let's put it
Perfect.
that way.
We're gonna do that. I'm going to do that.
They're pretty thick. Yeah.
Yes. But now the show is coming to an end for a while, for in a few minutes. But I want you to tell me, you have a special chef that you admire, someone in history or someone in today's time?
Great question. In history, my Oregon heart is always for James Beard
Yeah.
because it was a pioneer. I love what he did, and one of my dreams is to go to New York and eat at the James Beard house.
Yeah.
In also Julia Child. I
Yeah.
love to cook
Of
in the
course.
kitchen. In France. But nowadays, there are so many chefs in Italy. Uliassi, Bottura,
Mm.
of course, Dario Cecchini. They are all innovators. They are all humanitarians and generous with their skills.
Mhm.
And in America, of course, there's so many, just very hard to mention. But I want to mention one
Mhm.
that these days I think we need to watch and help. Jose Andres has created a nonprofit, the World Central Kitchen,
Uh-huh.
and that is my charity of choice. So he brings real, he's a two Michelin star chef. He has 20 restaurants and he has a nonprofit to give, to provide gourmet food to whoever needs it. After the hurricane, he's there.
Yeah.
In Japan, giving food and to the people on the cruise ship. He was there. So he does this nonprofit and he's on it and he knows how to do it. And that to me, it's the real meaning of being a chef, which means to feed people, not only the elitarian part that can afford a few $100s for a meal, but the ones that need food to survive. So to me, he's Jose Andres is the chef right now that I'm following really close and helping for as much as I can.
Very good. I love that. Absolutely. So you have an advice if someone wants to become a chef, what would you tell a person who wants to be on this scene of the food scene?
I would say stay in school. Stay in school because people say, "Oh, I can go to this restaurant to learn." Well, school gives you the basis, the foundation, then you can decide what you want to really learn and go. School sure doesn't give you everything you need to know, but it teaches you what you don't want to learn, where you're not going to do that in a restaurant. Teaches you what you don't want to learn and teaches you how to educate yourself to know more because you will learn also how much you do not learn and how much you do not know. So stay in school for a lot of advantages in the career and be ready for long hours, exhausting hours, little
Yes.
money to become famous.
But
So
if
yeah,
you, if it is a passion, if the cooking is a passion, anyone will be able to stand those hours, right?
exactly. And that's why a lot of students drop out of school because they can't do it. So
Mm,
it's very taxing and physical, but it's so rewarding.
yeah, I imagine it is. It's a tough business also to be in, isn't it?
And especially right now, we are losing our jobs or we have lost our jobs. It's temporary, but it's
Mm.
scary.
It's very scary this time.
Yeah.
But, so if someone wants to look you up, where do they find you? Where do they find your blogs, or do you have a website, or how do people
I do
find you?
not have a website, but I do have a Facebook and Instagram under growing_up_Italian.
Okay.
So I'm there. I have recipes available for free on my blog on Instagram. I'm a big fan of giving the way my
Yeah.
recipes or what I know that
Yeah.
works.
Yes.
Um,
So your
that's
blog
absolutely
is Growing Up Italian, right?
correct. Correct.
Okay. Very good. Well, it's on this note of good food and inspiration of for a salty life, like salt is
Pasta
the spice
salt.
of life.
I
Go-
love the title that you had, Pasta Salt.
Well, that's I've been doing some series about um, evolution of a home. And in evolution of the home, every day there is something that we use at home, but we might not know where it came from. They're basically historical short videos of things that we use, like the chairs, the stairs, and that day was pass the salt, please, about the vessels that have
Yes,
been used in history. So that was what about.
I love the ones you had, but I thought it was a very proper title, and it could be a title because pasta salt, salt is not bad for you. Has
Yeah,
a bad reputation, but is not nearly as bad
it's the
if
spice
used
of life.
appropriately. Yes, if used properly. Yes.
Absolutely. So, on this note of spicing your life and spicing your food, I will thank Rosa Mariotti, a very experienced famous chef, and just keep watching these mini series that I have going right now just to keep people happy and inspired. It's called Inspiration From. And every time I have someone on, will inspire us on what they do. And you've been great inspiration today, Rosa, and especially for me. So I thank you very much for being here.
You're so very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So until the next episode, a big kiss to everyone and you, and peace and love to everyone. Stay
And
safe.
aloha. Yes. Be
Aloha.
safe.
Okay.
Bye.